Babies have their big growth spurts at week 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 16. Those are typically the weeks that moms stop breastfeeding. And I think of that in a chiropractic way is because of those pattern analysis, the neurological, like these babies have to double in size over the next 4 to 6 months. So imagine a rope really twisted, and then between day 7 and day 10, they have to grow.
All right, chiropractors and chiropractic students, welcome to the Family Practice Podcast. You know, the one you've been waiting way too long for, because this podcast will actually stay focused on chiropractic. Not only what it takes to get world-class clinical results for kids and families in your community, but also what it takes to build a legendary, incredible family practice that takes care of your family way beyond your dreams. I'm Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be joined by Dr. Matt Hill, Dr. Ellie Wright, Jackie Jacobowitz, and incredible guests, chiros, associates, CAs, all these folks making massive impact around the world. We're going to cover everything: pediatric, perinatal, family practice. This is the podcast you've been waiting for, because moms and dads and families have always needed us. Now they're finally ready for us. I hope you're ready for the Family Practice Podcast. Let's go. Welcome back, my family, chiro, friends, and community. The Family Practice Podcast. Here we go. I'm your host, Dr. Tony Ebel, and today we've got Dr. Melanie. Now, on the podcast, you're about to hear as I interview this incredible, impact-making, niched down to a level of specialty and just unique purpose, passion. She's learned how to market this, communicate this, clinically deliver this, build a team, build relationships. Like, this woman is a boss, and you're going to find during the interview, I'm taking notes the whole time. I am learning the whole time. And one of the things that I learned during this interview with this rockstar doc from Michigan that I've known for a long time, she's been a part of our movement for a long time, and tells a really cool story how she's in it early as a founder. Then she found her exact niche and specialty within taking care of babies and lactation and nervous system focused chiropractic. It's mind-blowing. And then she went into that, and then she's come back around, and we're really syncing up together. She's a part of the PX family practice movement. We want to be a part of her movement, which you're going to learn all about. You know, she kind of tells a couple of third-person stories where she refers to herself as Dr. Mo. And I'm bummed. I'm actually disappointed. That's my introduction on this one. I didn't know that she went by Dr. Mo. How badass of a nickname is that? Like, that's so fun, especially as a family, pediatric, perinatal, infant expert. Let me just give you 2 minutes of what's going on within this family practice environment as it relates to what you're about to learn on this interview. So babies respond to nervous system focused chiropractic at unheard of levels. And so that's my update. And you're like, well, duh. I am listening to a podcast called The Family Practice, all about family practice chiropractic, so I obviously love to take care of babies. But pause with me, y'all. Do you really know what's happening to them? Do you really know how early subluxation sets up shop via epigenetics in the preconception, pre-fertility journey? Do you know how bad fetal neurological development really is for developing infants in utero? Do you know how nasty and awful the medical system has now created basically a diagnosis of pregnancy? And they use all the fear and all the disempowerment and all the testing and all the medications for the entire pregnancy. And we're not even to labor and delivery yet, but now we're there. Do you know how awful forceps are, and how awful vacuum extraction is, and how rough they are with C-section deliveries, and how just freaking, here you go, induction, epidural, oh, shocker, crime stopper, heart rates crashing, D cells, X cells, everything, we better go into surgery. Do you know how rough babies have it right now? And I know you might be thinking, and I want you to hold this, never lose this. If you think family practice is about these beautiful babies who you just adjusted this mom, you had her in your workshop, your Raising Healthy Babies workshop, your Raising Healthy Families workshop, all the adjustments, all the conversations, all the empowerment, all the enlightenment. You can go on and you can church this one up as much as you want. Your vision for your family practice should be this. By the way, mine still is too. It's just vision has to be vision, and then you got to practice within reality. So what we do on this podcast is we talk about vision like nobody else ever can, because God has just granted me a really, really, really big freaking one for family practice and pediatric and perinatal chiropractic and the nervous system for families. And then I live in reality because I'm in practice with you, and I study the science, and I take care of kids. And it sounds awesome to think of these beautiful, healthy babies born in a tub, at home, with a doula, with a midwife, with Bob Marley playing and incense burning and no intervention and chiropractor, in the room to adjust mom and make sure her nervous system is regulated so she can get into that natural state and get that baby through there. And then the baby can get checked right afterwards. And I know when I say baby chiropractic, infants getting chiropractic, I hope that's your first thought, your first feeling about infants and chiropractic. Unfortunately, very few of your patients are going to have that story that is that interwoven with chiropractic, natural health, empowerment, and all the kick-ass things that we want to bring to the world. When you're actually in family practice like Dr. Melanie, Dr. Mo, and I, you are going to be up against it. These babies are going to be more subluxated, more dysregulated than any babies of any generation ever because of the medical system and because of the perfect storm. So what I want you to do is listen in this episode intentionally, actively, and completely as to what's really going on and how much you need to level up, 1, your certainty, 2, your communication, your ability to articulate and get this message out to families, to get them in for care, and then 3, level up your clinical certifications and training. And if any of that, if you listen to this podcast episode and you're like, I need to do that, I need to level up my understanding and my certainty, I need to level up my communication and my ability to get this message out, and I need to level up my clinical training, you hit the show notes, you send us a DM, and you ask us what the next step is. Because when you hear this episode and her passion and her conviction and her experience and her really sharing what's going on with babies and how she's created this incredible niche and program to serve brand new families, brand new babies, and their moms and their dads. As a dad, I really love that Dr. Mo just wildly, with empathy and relatability and reality, steps in and communicates and takes care of dads too. It's really a kick-ass part of this interview that will blow your mind. I promise you won't see it coming, how much she speaks to the role of the dad and how much most of us in family practice completely ignore that and miss that. And our practice results and their results as a family suffer as a result. So everybody, this is Dr. Melanie. She is the freaking boss owner. I agree. Says it right here in her bio on my page. And it's true as could be, of Begin Well Co. in Shelby Township, Michigan. You ever been to Michigan, people? As an Illinois guy, God, Michigan's nice. It's cool at all times. Like, it's a pain in the ASS to get to because there's a big lake between us and a big city with bad traffic. But, Michigan, get there, live there. It's fantastic. Okay. And I said it, all these Michigan people are going to be like, you're already pretty judgy and pretentious about your state. And I just fed you even more, but that's fine. It's really that nice. So her mission is simple yet transformative: well-fed babies, well-adjusted moms and dads, and well-supported families. As both a chiropractor and IBCLC, International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, she brings a unique and gentle approach to family care, combining trauma-informed chiropractic techniques, so these nervous system-focused, perfect storm-informed chiropractic techniques, with expert lactation support to address the root cause of breastfeeding challenges. Dr. Melanie's passion for pregnancy, babies, and a holistic health started early in life, shaping her dream of becoming both a devoted mom — she talks a lot about her experience there — and family-focused professional. Her own struggles with breastfeeding and the unexpected yet invaluable advice from her father, a dairy farmer, sparked her journey to become an IBCLC. It's so badass. She is driven by a desire to make breastfeeding easier, more joyful, and more successful for other moms, believing that a healthy breastfeeding journey is a cornerstone and foundation for lifelong wellness, and it sure is. It is a pivotal first step in neurodevelopment, regulation, adaptability, and resiliency. At Begin Well Co., Dr. Melanie equips pregnant mothers and their families with the knowledge and resources needed to prepare for breastfeeding success even before the baby arrives. She goes into the system and how this thing is all built out, and it's brilliant. You'll see me just asking questions and taking notes. With a deep commitment to her craft and a heart for supporting families, she lives her dream alongside her husband, also full freaking rock star, love that dude, and 2 children, ensuring that every family can begin well. You ready for it? Dr. Mo, don't play. She comes out fire-breathing dragon in the beginning, middle, and end of this interview. Get in, get after it. Please download, please subscribe, and please share. Here we go. Dr. Melanie. All right, everybody, you just heard this rock star's incredible introduction. And, you know, it seems like everybody we bring on the podcast, they're very hard to introduce, and you fit this mold because, one, I love you so much, I'm impressed by you so much, and you're doing so much. So it's like an 18-minute read to get halfway down the list of things you're going after. And so that's what I want to get right into is the why behind. So we're going to take a different path than most podcasts do in terms of like sequence of where the questions go. This mission with Begin Well and this mission with chiropractic for babies and mamas and families is just exuding from you. Always has, but it's at an unheard of level right now, Doc. And I know there's a lot of passion and a lot of good that's going to create that. I want to start knowing your inner punchiness, my friend.
Oh, gosh.
See?
We're going to go
Can you
right
tell I
from
didn't
that?
read the sheet? Yeah. Or I did read the sheet, but I'm not following the sheet is the way to say it. What ticks you off about what's happening? What angers you? Because I think the best visions and missions are the one that are not just all goody, goody, good. Sometimes you got to really fight through what pisses you off to get to what good you'll bring to the world. So what is that? What
That
ticks
is so
you off?
funny because that's exactly how Begin Well Co. started.
I thought so.
It's your work. And then it was splitting hairs, what we talked about yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it was like, what were all the things that I heard mom say every single day? What were the issues? And instead of complaining about it, oh, skeptical dads are such a pain. No. What's the solution for it? So it was like, went through each thing and was like, if I could wave a magic wand, what were the things that like we could have a system, a who or a system for to make our lives easier? And so for moms, what we were hearing all the time, actually I heard it today while we were shadowing in your office. You had a patient and she said, we didn't start care until the baby was 2 months old, and she's pregnant. And she's like, this next one, we'll be here right away. And that's like, was so frustrating to me is we're doctors of cause and get to the root cause, but we're not seeing people until there's a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Even 2 months is a problem.
Totally. And so I got a lot of pushback from, we'll say, like maybe the birth world, maybe other chiros too, where I was like, we need to see babies like as soon as they're born. And I got a little pushback even saying like, yeah, it was like, how dare you? These moms need to rest. I'm like, I also am a mom. How many people are at the pediatrician's office 4 days postpartum or whatever? But
pediatrician, in all their undeserved glory, is supposed to roll into the hospital room and be the one who checks you out after they make sure you don't get a IV drug disease. You, the baby.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Totally, right?
Exactly. So that's what I did. It was like Begin Well Co. are all the things of a perfect storm. And so basically it's the perfect storm prenatally.
Yeah. And friggin', so when we say the perfect storm, 2 families and 2 chiropractors, we say, especially nowadays, now that we really know, because we've been in this journey together working on this, and that's how I've always considered my work with PX and the perfect storm. I'm in it literally alongside you guys. I may kind of kick off an idea or a protocol, but the way it becomes galvanized and most effective is you guys put it in play and make it better. I'm obsessed with, which is why I wanted you to be one of the very first interviews of the Family Practice Podcast. This has to be all of us working together to make it better. And you saw a gap in the impact-making game that needed to be sprinted into. And so where I'm going with that is the thing we push hard is to understand is it's not the aggregate of the 3 T's, it's how early.
Yes.
So the word of the day is early. So if the storm sets up shop in that kid's nervous system so early, then 2 weeks is late. 2 months is late.
Absolutely.
2 years is an eternity late. 20 years is, a couple of eons of eternity late. Okay, so how's that work? Let's just shift gears. How's that work procedurally? What did you have to do? What are you doing with the brand, the marketing, the message to these moms? You're just punching right to it?
Yeah. And I think with us being perfect storm parents ourselves, and that was the phrase that killed me over and over is, I wish I would have known. I wish I would. I'm like, well, how do we make it so that it was known?
Awesome.
Right? And so I'm like, I think sometimes we don't want to show that C-section video of the perfect storm because, especially to new parents, because we don't want to scare them. But I love that video because it's G-rated. Just to be blunt, it's a G-rated birth video.
Great point.
Like, a mom's
It's the right one.
Yes, it's not exploding. You're not scaring a dad, but it's such a huge aha moment where it's like, okay, well, we do have to show moms this video before babies are born. And the point that I make, the first 15 minutes of my workshops are loving on dads.
Yeah.
And so I've said this yesterday, dads are fixers and doers.
Okay, so you come out of the gate. I'm going to pull hairs here.
Oh my gosh.
You put that way to the front.
That's
Genius.
the first thing I do.
Okay.
Because what do dads look like when they come to your workshops? Arms are crossed, especially a breastfeeding one, right? They're like, what did my wife make me do? So I pull the dad jokes, I say right away. And it's, you probably came to this like whole workshop going, what did my wife make me do? This is so dumb. This is so stupid. And I'm like, and I'll like just rip off the Band-Aid. I'm like, we got beer, so go get one.
That's
you have
how
a
it works,
DD.
baby. Let's go.
Also, the whole like, and I say that, I'm like, you know, dads, especially after COVID, you guys are fixers and doers. There's nothing for you to fix or do when it comes to growing the baby, pushing out the baby, and then feeding the baby. So then dads become very protective. And by the time they get to our offices, they've been hurt.
They're very deeply wounded. And
Yep.
I don't know that I would have ever said that till you've been teaching me this stuff and continue to right here in this moment. That's a long journey through the pregnancy. When you see your wife become exhausted, become achy, become nauseous, especially, and then ratchet that way up if stuff happened, right? If it's a perfect storm pregnancy that they went through. And you literally, and then all the way down to the labor and delivery, and then all the way down to breastfeeding, you can actually literally do nothing.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I know you could say emotional support and everything else is not that is doing something, but man, it feels as a dude who isn't really wired for emotions.
Yes.
You're wired for literal, like we call it manual labor for contrast. Like you're wired to do and you can't. That's so painful.
And I think my husband taught me so much about that too, because we have a similar story with like losses. So we had 4 losses before we had our first kiddo. And we were planning a home birth as well. And I ended up transferring in. And then it was just like, my husband just got pushed into a corner. And so he went through all that pain too.
Literally.
He went, and he had to be stoic through the whole thing. You guys have to be so stoic through this whole thing. And then, like I said, by the time you guys get to the chiro, like you're angry, you're pissed off. Like what, you just watched the woman that you love the most and this baby come into this world. And I make the joke of Dirty Dancing taught us that we don't put baby in the corner, but we put dads in the corner.
For sure.
So we have to bring dads to the table on all this. And I know 5 years ago when I brought up the whole breastfeeding thing, I felt all the men in the room going, no, I can't.
Because we didn't have any. Yeah, we literally had no relatability of, you know, support. Like how would we help you there?
But you've been there too. Like I don't know what your story is with like Chris. I know she like nursed your kids, but like every baby is so different. Like I'm sure she couldn't put Oliver right to the breast.
It was such a thing of contrast, the whole thing, because Addison, which was the antithesis of the perfect storm, which went so great, everything went I'm going to use this word in contrast to Oliver's, not into what's actually happening, but there was such a level of ease to the pregnancy, the labor delivery, and the nursing with Addison. So Oliver was the antithesis of ease from, you know, the labor delivery, 6 weeks in the NICU. So the nursing, it was absolutely, and thankfully, like we talked about, we had been hosting, again, we're a little bit old. It used to be called the Leche League, and then it switched over to Breastfeeding USA. So we had been hosting, and Erica was the one who ran that. So the first call was Erica, the lactation consultant, right? And she was a chiro loving, getting adjusted lactation consultant,
and that
right?
Makes a difference.
She was, it really did.
Yeah.
So she got what we do. We needed what she does, and that force came together, and Erica turned this challenge, Christina and Erica together turned this challenge into, you know, they climbed that mountain. It was incredible.
But your kids were being adjusted the whole time too.
Truth, ma'am. Truth.
And that is just like the biggest thing that, like you said it, like as soon as it was time to nurse, you knew who you needed to call. No one's going like, I need a chiropractor.
Random percentage for you. This is you're going to have to kind of make out this percentage because every case is so unique. But if you just aggregate it together, what percentage of breastfeeding difficulty is on the baby's nervous system, not mom's?
99%.
I think so. Yeah, right.
100.
Not saying that mom's nervous systems, that's how could it be in like this very like optimal easy state, but yes, that baby is so dysfunctional neurologically, neurobiomechanically, neurodigestively, neuro everything that they are not a receiving conduit of success at all. And so a lot of the solution lies in baby getting adjusted. 99% of that lies in that, and it kind of flows upstream to mom.
At Palmer, did you guys do gait analysis?
Yes,
did you have to like sit there and watch it? That's how I feel like breastfeeding is at this point now. It's like you sit there and you're like, my husband always like gait does it now too. He's like, that person needs to be adjusted. Look at their shoulder, look at their hip, look all this stuff. And now that's how I am with babies. Like, of course your baby can't breastfeed while they're arching. They're like, we can see how they're arching all their stuff. Even after I do all of the work and I watch mom put baby to the breast, I'm like, give them back to me for a second, because you can just
pattern
see.
After pattern.
Absolutely. And so same thing when you're talking about like Addison, I have a Adeline. So like my Addie, right? Perfect. Like the most easy. I was here. I was here shadowing, like trying to get out of the way because I couldn't suck my baby belly in.
I forgot that.
At the last office.
Yeah.
And so here, like her birth was.
we were so high volume at that little office. We were literally stepping over people.
I was 35
We saw
weeks
like 850 people a week in like 1,700 square feet. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I got like pushed out at one point. I'm like, I'm in the way and I can't get my.
You were sitting on that bench.
I was.
I just have that visual right now.
So
and I told the team, I was like, is she okay? I feel like,
I had to go outside for it. I'm like, I'm really hot. Yeah. So that's where it started. And like Addie was the opposite of, the perfect storm as well. Like her pregnancy was so fun and easy. Like I always say that like the Star of Bethlehem was literally over my birth tub, like beautiful home birth. It was so empowering and so amazing, but she still needed help with breastfeeding. So here it's like, we're seeing like chiropractic tells us like, see the home birth babies, do, the pathways meetings, all great stuff. But 1% of moms are having home births.
Yeah,
I don't want to see 1% of moms. I want to see 100%
We're going
of
for
moms.
such a non-realistic goal right
Absolutely.
now. Now, do we hopefully 3 generations of success? But that's where you and I really thrive is we have big, big, big dreams and visions, but we operate daily in reality. And chiropractors tend to struggle with operating in reality. They don't, because they have by the way, have that dream of this friggin' universal intelligence, home birth derived world. But like, that's not where 99% of people in anywhere at any town live. And so they need us to serve them in the space that they live, in the reality that they live. So we got to, come off our own, holistic, organic, well-adjusted high horse and get down and serve.
Well, I think.
And you're so good at that.
That was some of like the splitting hairs too, because I was doing, all my perfect storm workshops and I'd have home birthers come and they're like, well, I didn't have a C-section. So none of this stuff is going to pertain to me.
You got to communicate that just clear.
So that's part of my like, the prenatal talk. It's like you show that and it's like, okay, now I'm going to show you all of the babies that were born completely natural with, they do have bruised faces.
Sure do.
Like both of my kids were 9-pound 2-ounce butterball turkeys. Like that's a lot of work on babies. Like, so your certification course that I took, like went through like different births have very different neurological patterns. And so when you could just keep bringing that through, it's like, okay, well, we know that we don't just grab an arm or a leg out for a C-section. Like those babies are born with a vacuum. I'm a C-section mom and I didn't know that. Oh my goodness, we know it's more distraction more than them being stuck. So I'm like, every single baby that's born via C-section.
They present with that pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, here I had this great home birth and she had a completely different pattern than Sam. But when you have 9 pounds coming out of another human,
but you can now very much make sense of their patterns. Yeah. Chiropractors listening out there, family chiropractors, which is chiropractors, if you don't understand pattern analysis, if you don't know, if we're saying these words and you're like loosely constructed to what that is, and you don't know how to clinically, very much every single case, every single adjustment, use pattern analysis and connect these dots, come to the seminar. We will teach it to you like no one ever has. And it is the most life transforming, out of all the chiro stuff. I actually just wrote a long article about pattern analysis and I put it on the website for parents because we teach this to them. It's where all the impact is made is really in the pattern analysis. Okay. So pattern analysis is kind of we'll call this it's the procedure of adjusting. That's, I don't like that, but it fits. So what about the procedure of getting these? How much have you had to change your systems with the practice and the team? Because that's such a big life event. If you want to be in the first 72, obviously, like you want to be right there right away adjusting baby.
Absolutely.
Do you have to go mobile a lot?
No.
Good. I knew you weren't, but I wanted to I wanted to start there because what a lot of chiropractors do is, again, they just accept, what's the word I'm looking for? They
take on another job. Like, oh, well, if I'm going to want to see mom. And that's where I got the pushback. I was like, no, all my tools are here.
You're tough enough to make this work.
And I can't see as
determine. That's why I started the question, what pisses you off? Because you were going to make it work all the way down to the logistics. So what are the logistics?
Every little thing. So the main thing, like our marketing is focusing on a mom who's expecting and parents. And so all of our marketing is, hey, we just call it So You Want to Breastfeed, because like I said, it goes through each of the different things, splitting hairs of the perfect storm.
So timing of your marketing is targeted to moms who are expecting.
Yep.
Messaging of your marketing is, say it again.
So you want to breastfeed.
Okay.
Yep. Because nobody is saying, I need a chiropractor when even as chiropractors. Like,
so the hook is breastfeeding.
Yep.
And okay, I love marketing funnels. So this
it's
is
like
brilliant.
perfect storm
And then you're bringing them to videos, articles, and a workshop. The workshop is the gold matter?
Yes. So
Okay.
we have like base like a Dukes, so
Yeah.
like I love workshops. Workshops are my favorite.
Public, let's go, buddy. Roll in. I could do
But
one a
that
week.
C-section video makes it easy because
It
you
does.
just like, as soon as they see that video, they're thinking of someone.
Put the sign-up sheet in front of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So there's no like, if you sign up today.
Well,
like,
you probably get a lot of Perfect Storm referrals from that workshop.
Absolutely.
Even though it's not a Perfect Storm workshop,
because
it is
it's
a
like,
Perfect Storm workshop.
because I bring up like you don't grow out of something, you grow into the next thing. So I'll talk about like, I'll use an ear infection or something, like an actual issue. And every single time it's like, oh, well, crap, my 3-year-old got tubes. Shoot, I don't want to do that again. And so I go through all that stuff in such a loving way because I think it is frustrating. I always say that I'm such a bad teacher because I like to nerd out. And then when people want to start asking questions, I'm like, I already said this. Why are you asking me these questions?
Were you not listening when the fire hydrant was blasting you in the face? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but then I realized too, I'm like, it is a fire hydrant. They've probably never heard this, so I have to back it up. So I really just focus on those first 3 days.
Okay.
And so like my CA, my team this weekend, with Perfect Storms, you have to go big with your care plans.
You do.
And I think the difference for me is like, it's very hard to be like a mom who just gave birth yesterday and go, here's your 96 visit care plan.
You're making it work for them in that moment in life.
Exactly. Okay. I'm assuming you're going to be my patient forever.
It's an essential assumption. The assumption forever closes is as real as rain. Yep.
So like our care plans go through the milestones and growth spurts. So the big thing that I talk about all the time, and I brought this up yesterday, is babies have their big growth spurts at week 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 16. Those are typically the weeks that moms stop breastfeeding. And I think of that in a chiropractic way is because of those pattern analysis, the neurological, like these babies have to double in size over the next 4 to 6 months. So imagine a rope really twisted, and then between day 7 and day 10, they have to grow. And then we don't see colic until 3 months.
Nobody knows how neurologically, I'm just going to push the word, detrimental a growth spurt is. It's essential because it forces adaptability and resiliency. But how does adaptability and resiliency come? Through challenges. Growth spurts are a mug. They really are.
If we had to double in size, which I guess I did with talking or with all the traveling we just did.
We're joking about that. Yeah, big missions equal. They get to it. Yeah, totally.
So if you had to double in size over the next 4 to 6 months, triple in size the next year, that's where your eating, sleeping, and pooping come in.
That's perfect.
What else are you going to do besides eat, sleep, and poop? Well, if you're not eating, then you're not sleeping and pooping. So if we look at breastfeeding not as scary, I don't want to look at boobs, instead of truly like the milestone.
Okay. And you look at breastfeeding very developmentally.
Yeah, it's
and
first
milestone based.
Yeah.
Okay. So the care plan, you said this, I'm going to split hairs. This is genius, buddy. This is genius from the beginning to the middle to the end. I am going to, and again, I get to have the recording before we even publish it out. I am sending it to Allie and our team, and you need to train us and get us better. Yeah. We are so ready to get better tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow's Sunday, but we'll do Monday. Yeah. Okay, yeah, all right. Sure. So with this, so you make the care plan through the milestones.
Yep.
So it is a care plan that has calendarization to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep. And so it goes to what weeks again?
So specifically, it's the first year.
Yeah.
But like we're really hitting those touch points, like with our table talk.
Those are the focus.
Yeah. So I would say we have to work a little bit harder with maybe with table talk in that way, but that's why it's a full like lactation visit to make sure that moms, like, we can't fire hose them perfect storm stuff when they just gave birth. They can't. Mom's in fight or flight. We can't learn in fight or flight. And here we're just like fire hosing all these parents. And I think they're used to fight or flight by the time the kid's 3, 4, 5 years old and not talking, that they're like, can you fix it? Here's my credit card.
That's a great point.
Is what happens. But in the very beginning, you can't, like, I was known in my community, like, if your 3-year-old isn't talking, take them to mouth. Does that not sound like a big quackadoo thing, right? And it's like, well, I can explain it, but I need about 30 minutes and a couple PowerPoint slides. It's not a quick elevator stuff, right? And so for us, like, we do take the front end of really explaining those things. And that's why the prenatal workshop is so incredibly important.
Because you have that.
We have that trust. And then we kind of did our own version of like La Leche League, because I love the idea behind a support group. But La Leche League is once a month. Moms need help yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question about workshop frequency too. So what's this meetup?
So our frequency, so we have multiple workshops at this point. So it's like you can come to any one. It's not like it has to be like, okay, you have to start, with mine and then do Jill's and whatnot. So I found that if I do them every other month, because I've had parents who are like guilty of like they sign up like, oh, oops, I'll come to the next one. Yeah. So it's kind of like more of a business like urgency type of thing. So you do it every other month, and then we have like how to prep for the hospital. So our care plans work like we want to do at least 2 prenatal visits for lactation. Obviously, we want mom under care in general for her nervous system, but prenatally, what we want to focus on is, does she know how to colostrum harvest? Because a lot of moms, when they go in the hospital, they roll in that big pump. That's not the right tool for colostrum. It's like if you want to chop down a tree and I hand you a bowling ball, you need an axe. And so all these moms go on this pump and they get 2 drops. Well, that's not the right tool. So you have to learn how to hand express.
And this is happening ahead of time. This education is happening far before they're going to, or enough far before they're going to get to that moment.
We like to go around 37 weeks.
That's awesome.
You don't really want to do nipple stimulation.
So somebody could come into your practice first via this. Yeah. Okay. Because of the way it's marketed and built. Okay.
Yeah. And we want them to already, we want to be their family before the baby's here. So we're
your
loving
source
on them.
Your support, your source of empowerment and education. The thing we've always said that is missing, which leads to the perfect storm, is lack of empowerment and education. So you filled that gap literally. Detailed, granular.
Absolutely.
Strategically. All the above, right? I could give it a lot of adjectives.
What's nice about all that with prenatally and loving so hard on dads, us moms, we're busy when we're giving birth. We're like, and like I said, I've had both. C-section, the curtain's up, you can't see. Home birth, I had a water birth. I was busy. I didn't see how my daughter came, but my husband did. Yeah. So you've probably seen how all of your kids have come out.
You have to provide the education to the dad as to what they're seeing.
And what's great is now that we've educated dad and loved on dad, I'm sorry, but birth is not pretty. What you guys watch, I didn't watch it. You did. I didn't. Dads are calling going, that C-section video is nice compared to what I just watched. Do you, they're calling when they know they're discharged.
Jeez. So it's, okay. How many times have I said that this is so good? And you had to just get into it to find all these, right? You've plugged these things in over time, right?
It's one of those things.
You just sat down and mapped this out, didn't you? And then got to work and continued to refine.
Have you seen the reel with I don't watch TV, but it's like Big Bang Theory with Sheldon. He's just like, why? Yeah. Why? What? And that's been these last 5 years. I kept asking why, and I did not ask what God's like, yep, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. I'm like,
and there was no why. There was no why too small for you to not open the hood up and you and your team just
But it was one of the things that you hear 100
buddy.
times in your practice. I just heard it in your practice. Yep. I'm going to be here as soon as this next baby's born. I'm like, it's that I wish I would have known. How do we parents are looking for it now more than ever. COVID was frustrating, obviously, from a business standpoint, but it gave me that space to find that magic wand of going, okay, Mel, you're seeing 30 patients a week right now with this thing that's going on in the world. If you can build what you want, how would you do it?
That's amazing.
And it was like, well, what are all the things that I wish moms did know? And that's how we started breaking down. So our mission, this is to really, our care plans are good, but our communication. Okay. And so I got so much out of this weekend here because I said, I quit PX last year for a time because I'm like, I'm missing something. Yeah. I'm still missing something. And I went and searched and I was like, then the mirror was put up. I was like, dang it, there it is. It's me. It's becoming
a lot of times leader. It's like, how do I ask the right questions, right? How do I, the tool is the right tool, but I don't quite know how to, pull the resource out of it that I need. We've all been there. So you were going there and I want to let you roll there as we round third base on this interview. Yeah. So thank you for allowing me to pull all the granularity out of you. That is what I wanted to promise people with the Family Practice Podcast, is that we would absolutely hit what mission and vision and get people on fire, but we would literally teach. We get into this stuff granular. Well, granular matters only if you have a massive vision and a huge strategic plan to go with it. So the floor is yours, Mo. Let it rip. Begin well, Co. What is your dream? What is your vision? What do you need to invite? Because these are your people, the people that are going to that have the potential to get trained, saddle up, become a part of our communities, and take this mission and vision to the world are the ones listening. So how big you going? Why are you going there? What is that?
I think we talked a lot about this yesterday, and like it sounds great. Like I keep saying, like that was with the work I did with Dan Sullivan, and it's like, you know, what is this big goal? I'm like, I want a Begin Well Co in every major city, and it's not an ego thing. It's what breaks my heart, and you deal with this too, is how far parents are coming to get these solutions. And so I'm from Michigan, and I live in the thumb, and the top of the thumb, like there's no lactation help whatsoever. And here's the thing. It's chiropractic still. Like it takes 5 extra minutes. And to me, I think of it truly as a therapy. Like if you're very like, you know, spine based and are doing different like therapies, you're going to do ultrasound or laser or whatever. To me, it's like, that's the therapy.
So now
hey mom, come on in this room. It takes 5 minutes, and like we have systems for like, hey dad, this is how you're going to help. Cause sometimes you need 25 hands in the first couple of weeks to, you know, baby's floppy. They're like, they don't have their curves yet, right? They're a potato chip. So like they have just one curve, and we got to figure all that stuff so dad can be a part of it. So he feels empowered too. And then it's almost too easy where it's like, can I get scans too? Can I get under care? And you're like,
because the change is happening, baby, right in front of their eyes and their hearts.
And I honestly have been referring out so much lately. Like, we have a great CBP doc right around the corner. So if dad's like, well, I had 3 compression fractures from lacrosse and this, and this, I'm like, I want to make sure you have the best care.
It's wonderful.
And, you know, I can't do that.
Come back here for wellness.
Yeah.
When you're all fixed up.
I went to a CBP doc. He was great.
Yeah, come back here. We do that all the time. We have a CBP, traction, decompression doc down the road. Love him like none other. I've known him the whole time. Yep. A lot of times dad will go there. Hey, you got to go there. You got to get fixed up, you know, and then when you kind of reach wellness, they would probably call it maintenance. Yep. Come here for that. Join your family back, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
So getting a Begin Well Co in every major city, it really is like so that moms don't have to drive so far. And I do think of that as that first milestone. You're setting them up for success. So it's truly preaching what chiropractic has, where we're getting to the cause right away instead of like talking about the perfect storm. Like, we went through the perfect storm. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is because we don't want parents to have that perfect storm story. And it's like, I felt so horrible. I'm like, can you take me off the directory? I'm like, I'm a perfect storm mom. And I had such a guilty conscience about it.
Just a season.
Yeah, because, and it's just a layout where it's just like, well, we're at the place now. Like,
just a reality. You were literally slammed. Yeah.
We have kiddos, like, you know, perfect storm kiddos love like looking in different rooms or whatever. And so when a mom is trying to latch and like maybe her nipples are bloody, like it's just a sensitive time. Yeah. And you have a perfect storm kiddos.
Love babies.
Yes,
too.
They do.
Overly.
Yes, they do.
You can't say overly, but like overly love babies. Yeah. That's a magnetic attraction beam.
Yeah. So it needs to be included, but kind of like how your office is set up, where it's like this wing and this wing. And
so we'll be able to bring this to reality together.
Yeah,
because docs that are going to take on your work, they need the in-depth neurological training, just chiropractic all-outness that we do with the nervous system, and they plug that in with your training and your model. This definitely fits model. I want to give it a better word than model, because you've dotted every freaking I and crossed every T, from logistics to procedures to education to the marketing funnel. And I know we got granular, and I know there's a lot more too, right? That people need to tap into with this. And so this is chiropractic. What you've been able to do is hold on to chiropractic. Most everybody else who has a big passion for something that is it other than the adjustment, even if it's extremely adjacent to the adjustment, that other thing, they just lose the adjustment. Let's just call a spade a spade. 99% of other people that get passionate about something else, they completely abandon chiropractic. And that might be a dramatic way to say it, but I'm saying it for emphasis.
I don't think so.
They're gone, you know, and we cheer them on. Come on, Joe Dispenza, go. Come on, T. Martini, go. Come on, Josh, go. Rid the world of those problems. Those are serious problems. Well, you have identified a very serious problem. That is a problem in that moment with that baby. It's a problem in that moment with that mom, and it's going to become a much bigger problem if not addressed in that moment in time. And so thank you for this. We're all in. We're gonna you got to get us up to speed and get us better at PwC. We've got a huge gap in this game that I would love your support filling and improving, and I know exactly who on my team to plug you into, and away we go. And you know us, line up the ducks, we'll mow them down and do that. And then everybody out there listening, that's what you do as well. So what is their best next first step? Just like a mom, So we've now got this information to a mom. A mom is going, I have to have this. And you're so dialed in, you know exactly where you would send that mom and dad next. Where do you send the chiropractors next to take their next step?
I mean, if chiros want to do what I'm doing to integrate it into their practice, the best thing would to go to our social media and book a discovery call with me to see if, so at this point, I actually do teach chiropractors how to become board certified lactation consultants and then show how to integrate it into your practice.
Okay. So what you and I need to do when we turn off the podcast, and people, I'm going to say this, and then for some of you that are out there that have these big combined missions like we do, you're going to want to listen in on this. So, but after this, you and I need to chat because I can help you dominate all this whilst hanging on to your adrenals and keeping your HIV
oh my gosh, yes.
Because
there were so many moments yesterday. I was like,
text me.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Well, we're here. We're going to chat. Yeah. There's so much I can help you with. A lot of lessons failed, right? A lot of walls run into and then figured out how to not run it because you are now awesomely in the state of have to. Yeah. There's no turning back.
Exactly.
Zero.
That's why I have to listen to Andy Frisella and Alex Warmosier. It's
Let's
like
go,
you don't have a choice. And I'm like, I'm too far in.
You are too far in, and that's what God called you to. That's why you had the experiences with your beautiful. You are crafted for this, called to this, and that's why He brought you back in with PX so that we could not only, perhaps more for this than anything else. Number one, get the message out together, and I am so honored that we can use our platform because this is something that is not me, right? This is not something that we've talked about this forever. I've been your biggest cheerleader because I'm like, absolutely. And I would, even if you got tired, I'd be like, here's your freaking cortado, homie. Like, let's go. And here's some efficiency. I'd lovingly, with respect and reverence, I'd shove you back out there and say, Mo, you got to fill this gap. There's a huge gap in the world, huge gap in the profession. And then two, we can help you do it in a very healthy, effective way. And so actually anybody listening out there, we've got that too. We've been around the block in a lot of ways.
It's not like a huge change either. Because like you were talking about yesterday, like the cruise ship thing, like you don't have to completely change direction.
You're not doing anything different than you were doing before. You're doing additional to what you were doing before.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what's, no, we would be the last two to tell you to start a side hustle into crypto or real estate. Like that's not at all what this is. This is chiropractic, nervous system focused, save babies' lives, plug families back together all day, every day. I think honestly right now, I'm going to say this very confidently because there's this whole family practice has a lot of specialties required within that cruise ship.
And that's why your core values have to be dialed in. Like that was, I think we paralleled each other. Obviously I'm not the scale that you're at. But like there are times like you had to like rip a Band-Aid off, completely do the cruise ship like to the other side. And it hurts. It hurts when you like realize like you're not a bad person or like we just don't have the same core values. Or like you said, like you're not going to have the same team at like 200 people that you are at 500.
You're not going to have the same coach either, same mentor.
Exactly. And who's mentoring for breastfeeding? There are no systems and structures. It's the wild, wild west. IBCLCs are, you think that chiropractors have a scarcity mentality? I'm not even touching the birth world and lactation community. But you have to pay bills. You have to.
PTs, OTs, speech therapists, dentists, fill in the blank. We all live the same life.
But we can have fun and you have to build that team. And it's hard because out there, especially targeted at women, is the like, this is how you do it with the least amount of staff and all those other things. It's like, this is how you have your boutique, which is, there's nothing wrong with those things if you want them, but I was in it for impact. And when you start going for that,
make a big impact.
Exactly. And like when you start doing it, like your doors are gonna, people are gonna be like right there. And so it is frustrating when you're like looking for stuff. I'm like, what do I do like teamwork wise and whatever? So, and you have implemented that with PX. Yeah. So sometimes it's like we're building the same thing at the same time. And then sometimes we're also making the same mistakes, if you want to call them mistakes, but leveling up lessons. And so like you were working on these same things as I was. And I'm going, what is wrong with me? Why can I not keep? And I'm just like, well, I'm a racing bull too. Like I'm a farm kid. Let's go. We don't stop till the job's done.
No, not at all. You being back in, PX is such an ecosystem of support and mentorship. You're now plugged back in for the next level of mentorship. You don't need the clinical training anymore. You don't need the communication or scan interpretation or adjusting training anymore. Now you need the mission scaling, team building, and where do we start? Back to the freaking core values. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to say in closing is this is the need in this exact space, buddy, is to the T. You are it. you are the leader here. You have taken this torch. There's no one else to turn to. I have not met anyone who has the passion, the conviction, and now the experience and the tools to do it. So I love that God has sent you into leadership in this position, and we are your biggest fan, biggest advocate. I respect you like none other, and we're all in. We're all in. So everybody, we're going to put everything you need to connect with her, follow on social, learn more, book that discovery call. We're going to be a bit obsessive about pushing it out on Instagram and Facebook to go along with the podcast. But don't listen to this one and wonder. Listen to this one and take action. Our babies are suffering. Our families are being torn apart by subluxation. And the solution, it's not anything other than chiropractic. All the other solutions that are out there are actually more dependent upon the adjustment and the nervous system of this child and this baby to work. So it doesn't put anything else down. It puts this up. And so that's why I wanted to have you on here, homie, to make sure we can put this message out.
Even like now, and you say it all the time, like where we have to stay in our lane with chiropractic, and you don't have to add, all those different things. My biggest practice fillers are the SLPs and the feeding OTs and PTs and even holistic pediatricians at this point, because we were actually just talking about it at breakfast, where it's like we're getting so many referrals from a pediatrician. And then the parents are coming over and it's like, I don't know why we're here. She just told me to come here.
Best.
And then I'm going,
that's our holistic pediatrician new patients come into. They have such authority, which is a great lesson to learn.
Yes.
They have authority. We need to step into authority.
Yes.
And they come over. A lot of education left to do.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for educating me. Thank you for educating. Let me go in order of priority. Thank you so much, my friend, of educating your community and now the world. Your social is going to take off. It is,
just hire that whole team.
Exactly. So you're going to blow up and the whole world's going to find out about this because they need to. Then you're going to train the practitioners because once the moms find out, they need somebody right there in their town. So those of you listening, you have a responsibility to these kids and these families, which is to step up, step in, get trained, reach out, and take that action. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Family Practice Podcast. There is nothing else like this in chiropractic, not even close. So you know how many other chiropractors want to practice in this family practice model, this nervous system model, and step into the storm and serve. And how freaking fun is it?
It's so fun.
It's so fun. So fulfilling.
We were just talking about this too. It's like the more a mom is crying, we're almost like, oh man, I cannot wait, because it's instantaneous with babies. Like perfect storms. It takes maybe a couple of times or whatever. But the mom's like, what did you do? You adjusted because it's so gentle.
So is the process, look at it. Look at us two raging bulls. We can't finish this podcast to save our lives. So 100%, right? People are like, I think they're trying to. So the flow of
it's
this.
a Midwestern goodbye is what you're seeing right now.
It really is, right? So you just started Thanksgiving and then you're still standing in the driveway and it's Christmas and you're saying goodbye. Okay. So the truth is.
I suppose.
Yeah, totally. So you have got to reach them with the education, the information. So that's your social, that's your content, that's your workshop. So the flow chart is this: education, then education becomes adjustment and support. It becomes the visit, it becomes the action, the actual physical action. Then the latch happens, the calm, the soothe, the co-regulation happens, and then mom cries. Oh yeah. That's where it is. But did you see the three things that needed to get there to that big emotional fulfillment, that joy of just indescribable joy and fulfillment that the doctor, instant gratification. It starts with education. So before you can educate them, you've got to get educated yourself. So step up, get trained, let's go. Hey, Dr. Tony here, and I wanted to say thank you for listening to the Family Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to the show so you don't miss a thing. Also, if you're looking for more content from us, you can absolutely subscribe to our newsletter, watch exclusive episodes on YouTube, and dive deep into the articles and blogs on our website. All of this is linked in today's show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.